My wheel to school 7. Mrs. Cooney is a loony. Written by Dan Gutman. Pictures by Jim Pratt. Chapter 4. The Last Straw. Miss Daisy told us to be on our best behavior while she called Mrs. Cooney on the intercom. So as soon as she turned her back on the class, me and Michael got up and shook our butts. Finally, after about 1,100,000 minutes of waiting, Mrs. Cooney walked in the door. Va-va-va-voom, I whispered to Michael, who sits next to me. I really don't know what va-va-va-voom means, but that's what my dad always says when he sees a picture of that movie star who looks like Mrs. Cooney. I'm in love, Michael said. Me too, said Ryan, who was sitting behind me. Me free, I said. It was bad enough that Mrs. Cooney had a husband. Now Michael and Ryan were in love with her too. How would I ever get Mrs. Cooney to marry me instead of all those other guys? My friend Billy around the corner knows a lot about girls. He says the way to get a girl to like you is to make her laugh. So I decided that I would try that. What are you going to teach us today, Mrs. Cooney? Asked Miss Daisy. Today we're going to learn about nutrition, said Mrs. Cooney. Does anybody know what a food pyramid is? Sure, I said. That's what they eat in Egypt. Some of the kids laughed, but Mrs. Cooney didn't. I would have to try harder. Please raise your hand instead of shouting out, said Mrs. Cooney. Andrea? The food pyramid shows the groups of foods that make up a good diet, Andrea said. Good, Andrea, said Mrs. Cooney as she held up a big poster of a pyramid with food all over it. She gave Andrea a smiley face sticker for her notebook. Andrea has so many smiley face stickers on her notebook that you can hardly see the notebook anymore. Can anyone name all the food groups? Asked Mrs. Cooney. This time I raised my hand, and Mrs. Cooney called on me. The refrigerator, the freezer, the pantry, and the kitchen cabinets, I said. That's where we group the food in my house. A few kids laughed. Mrs. Cooney crossed her arms in front of her and tapped her foot until the laughing died down. She had on her serious face. She's cute when she's serious. Not exactly, she said. Andrea had her hand in the air as usual, and she got called on. Andrea named all the dumb food groups and got another smiley face sticker. Why doesn't a food pyramid fall on Andrea's head? I wish I could punch her. Good, said Mrs. Cooney. Kids, where you eat may be as important as what you eat. Tell me, where do you usually eat your meals? In my mouth, I said. Where else would I eat my meals? No, I mean, do you eat in your kitchen? Mrs. Cooney asked. Do you eat in the car? Do you usually eat in front of the TV? We eat all our meals in front of the TV, I said. Why, AJ? Asked Mrs. Cooney. Because there's no room behind the TV, I said. We'd be squished. All the kids laughed. Mrs. Cooney put her hands on her hips and wrinkled up her forehead at me. But she still wasn't laughing. Maybe she was in a bad mood. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, Mrs. Cooney said. You can't do good work at school if you haven't eaten a good breakfast. That goes for grown-ups too. For example, it's hard for me to work on an empty stomach. You shouldn't work on an empty stomach, Mrs. Cooney. I said, you should work on your desk. Everybody laughed at that one. Mrs. Cooney slapped her own forehead like there was a bug on it. AJ, said Mrs. Cooney, can you please try not to shout things out? Now, how many of you eat breakfast in your pajamas? That's disgusting, I said. My mom puts my breakfast on a plate. AJ, go sit in the hall, Mrs. Cooney said. That's the last straw. What does straws have to do with anything? She wasn't even talking about straws. Why are grown-ups constantly running out of straws? I offered to bring some more straws from home, but Mrs. Cooney said she didn't want them. Na 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 boo boo, Michael whispered when I went to sit in the hall. I was in love with Mrs. Cooney, but she sure wasn't in love with me.